Welcome back to the Soccer Science Lab. If you have been watching the 2026 World Cup group stages across the United States, you have definitely noticed a hilarious pattern. The greatest superstars on the planet, equipped with custom $1,000 boots, are slipping, sliding, and falling over like amateur figure skaters on ice. You might think these world-class athletes are suddenly becoming clumsy under pressure, but the truth is actually a massive biomechanical clash. These players are fighting a hidden, high-tech enemy right beneath their feet. To survive the brutal 104-match schedule, organizers have engineered a highly controversial surface known as the hybrid pitch. Grab your safety gear, because today we are breaking down the bizarre physics, the painful slipping, and the hidden engineering nightmare of the modern soccer grass. To understand why these multi-million-dollar legs are losing their balance, we need to perform a scientific autopsy on the modern hybrid pitch. For over a century, soccer was played on pure, natural grass grown from the soil. It was soft, it smelled great, and it absorbed impacts beautifully. But with the 2026 World Cup expanding to a massive 48-team format, natural grass simply cannot survive. If you pack 104 intense matches into a short 40-day window, a traditional turf field will look like a plowed potato farm by the third week. To solve this logistical nightmare, organizers across the United States have implemented advanced hybrid technology, mechanically mixing human engineering with biology. Let's look at the exact physics of how a hybrid pitch is constructed. Imagine a standard soccer field, but before the grass seeds are even planted, a massive industrial sewing machine drives millions of synthetic polypropylene fibers deep into the root zone. Scientifically, these artificial plastic threads are injected 20 centimeters down into the soil, spaced exactly 2 centimeters apart across the entire pitch. After the plastic matrix is laid down, natural grass seeds are planted around it. As the real grass grows, its natural roots naturally wrap, tangle, and lock themselves around the synthetic plastic fibers like a permanent biological anchor. Mathematically, the final pitch consists of roughly 95% natural grass and 5% pure artificial plastic. Let's translate this into real life to see how it works. Think of it like going to a high-end salon for hair extensions or a hair weave. If you only have thin, natural hair, it breaks easily under pressure. But when the stylist weaves strong synthetic fibers directly into your real hair roots, your hair suddenly becomes incredibly tough and resistant to being pulled out. That is exactly what FIFA did to the turf. When a heavy defender slides forcefully across the ground, his body weight would normally rip a giant chunk of natural grass out of the earth, creating a dangerous divot. But on a hybrid pitch, when his boots cut into the surface, the synthetic plastic anchor holds the soil completely together, preventing the turf from breaking apart. It keeps the field perfectly flat and visually pristine for the television cameras, but as we are about to see, this industrial toughness comes with a massive, painful biological cost for the soccer players' bodies. Now let's analyze the brutal kinetic shockwave of this engineering marvel, because when a soccer player's boot meets a highly compressed hybrid surface, pure physics takes a dark, chaotic turn. To make these modern fields resilient enough to handle multiple games back-to-back, American stadium engineers have to roll and compress the underlying sand and soil base with massive heavy machinery. This creates an incredibly dense subsurface. The result? The field feels wonderfully lush to your hand, but to a running human body, it mathematically acts like a green layer of carpet spread over solid kitchen concrete. Let's look at the dynamic physics of a professional sprint. When a world-class athlete explodes down the wing at 35 kilometers per hour, his feet apply a force equal to nearly 3 times his total body weight onto the grass. On a traditional, soft, natural turf, the long steel studs of a soft ground boot cut cleanly through the soil like a sharp knife through soft butter. The ground absorbs the kinetic energy, allowing the player to brake, turn, and pivot safely. But on the dense 2026 hybrid fields, the metal studs hit that impenetrable barrier of compressed soil and tough plastic mesh. The steel cannot penetrate the surface. Instead of cutting smoothly into the earth, the studs literally bounce off the hard ground. Let's translate this into a hilarious real-life scenario to see the absolute chaos. Imagine you are wearing a pair of high-end, metal-spiked track shoes, and you decide to sprint at full speed inside your local shopping mall across a freshly polished marble floor. The moment you try to change direction or make a sharp cut, your metallic spikes cannot dig into the stone. They slip instantly, throwing your center of gravity out the window and sending you sliding across the floor like a cartoon character on a banana peel. This mechanical bounce creates a dangerous physical phenomenon known as reaction force. According to Isaac Newton's third law of motion, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. When the ground refuses to absorb the impact energy, that massive kinetic shockwave travels straight back up through the metal studs, into the ankle, up the shin bone, and directly into the player's hamstring and knee ligaments. This sudden kinetic feedback completely destabilizes the player's biomechanical balance. It explains why we are seeing global superstars suddenly lose their footing during basic turns, sliding uncontrollably across the bright green grass, while desperately holding their hamstrings in absolute agony. Behind the closed doors of the team dressing rooms at World Cup 2026, an intense technical war is being fought. Kit managers and footwear engineers are facing a dangerous structural crisis. As global superstars continuously slide and complain about the concrete-like turf, backroom staff cannot just sit there. They have to act fast before their star forward tears a hamstring. This crisis has transformed the kit room into a high-stakes engineering laboratory, where modifying a tiny piece of metal or plastic on a shoe sole can save a $100 million soccer contract. Let's analyze the industrial tactics used to solve this traction equation. Traditionally, on a wet, high-intensity soccer pitch, players instinctively choose soft-ground boots with 6 long, aggressive steel studs. But on these compressed American hybrid fields, using pure steel studs is structural suicide. To prevent their players from vibrating off the pitch, footwear experts are forcing athletes to ditch their traditional weapon. Instead, they are rapidly switching to a hybrid configuration known as mixed studs. This design combines permanent molded plastic studs with shorter, customized aluminum tips. Mathematically, by mixing shapes and shortening the metal tips by just 3 to 4 millimeters, technicians increase the total surface area of the boot sole by nearly 30%. Let's translate this into a familiar real-life scenario to see how this physics adjustment works. Think about driving a heavy pickup truck into a dense, muddy forest during a rainy day. You obviously need massive, deep-grooved mud tires to claw through the dirt, but if you take that exact same truck with those aggressive off-road tires and try to drive it down a smooth, rock-hard asphalt highway, the truck will bounce uncontrollably, vibrate heavily, and lose total grip. To fix this, you must change to a lower-profile mixed-terrain tire that spreads the weight evenly across the flat road. That is exactly the tactical shift happening inside the locker rooms. Equipment managers are literally taking mechanical grinders and industrial rasps to manually cut down the steel spikes of world-class midfielders. Players are stepping onto the pitch wearing firm-ground plastic plates or heavily shaved metal tips. It is a massive psychological gamble for the players. For a clinical striker, changing your familiar boot sole feels like a professional painter using a brand new, unshaped brush right before creating his masterpiece. But in the ultra-regulated world of 2026 soccer, adapting your equipment to the hard ground is the only way to stop slipping into an early medical retirement. So, when you cheer for your favorite country during the 2026 World Cup knockout stages, take a close look at their feet. The team that lifts the golden trophy next month won't just need the most talented superstars or the best tactics. Scientifically and mechanically, they need the smartest equipment managers and players who can adapt their running physics to a bone-hard hybrid surface. Soccer in 2026 is no longer just about controlling the ball. It is about completely mastering your friction against the earth. Have you noticed your favorite players slipping over on television during this tournament? Do you think these high-tech hybrid pitches are good for the speed of the game, or just an absolute nightmare for player safety? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay locked into the lab for our next scientific soccer breakdown. Until next time, Adjust your studs, check your gravity, and enjoy the madness.